Hello, hello, hello. How we doing? Guitarlin, Tribble, Banana. Hope you're all well. Hope everyone is having a fantastic whatever day it is today. I think it's Tuesday. Check. Yes, it is. Quiet, hello. I hope you're all well. Right. So we have stuff to do today. Mostly building, but there was something I forgot to do at the end of the stream yesterday. Tuesday it is. Good to know my computer's not lying to me then. But yeah, there's one thing I forgot to do at the end of stream yesterday, and that was to set up the saltwater processing. Oh, Zidikians, welcome. How are you guys doing? Blue, Sheepy, Zidik himself, with the resub as well. All of the noises.
The Zydikians have arrived.
Raz coming in there as well. Quiet coming in with the raid. Mandolin coming in with the raid. Welcome everybody. How are we all doing? Zidik, how was the stream? And let's go and put Zidik on the subwall. We don't need that anymore, do we? There he is. Thank you very much, Zidik. That was a whole lot of months as well. How many months was that? 54 months. But how's everybody doing? How's the stream? How is Cuboid Outpost going? You good? Got iron now? Nice. It's always nice to get those singularities up and running, isn't it? Who else did I miss? Big Angel. Dab. Did I miss anybody else? I apologize if I did. Chloe, how are you doing? It should open it. You say that, Ziddy, but so am I. That's my plan pretty much for today as well. I'm still very much in the open air right now. We might have a very nice kind of base to our build, but we haven't got an actual build yet. So that's what we need to do today, or start working on today. But for those just joining us, welcome. I am Chicheva. I am I keep saying a primarily modded Minecraft player. I'm an entirely modded Minecraft player. I don't really play anything else on stream anymore. We're playing Monifactory at the moment, but we're just about to take a break from progress, or once we finish one last little bit, I'm going to be taking a break from progress to work on getting this place into an actual build rather than just kind of like a bunch of platforms. So that's the plan for today. The first thing we need to do, though, and I set this up yesterday, I even put gas tiers over here to remind me, and then I removed them. But we need to basically make and process some salt water today, which we're making it via gas tiers and water. I don't think we have any other use for gas tiers, honestly. I don't think there's any other use we have for gas tiers. Oh, except maybe ensouled flight control units later, but that's later. That's a later chat problem. But yeah, we're going to be using that gas tiers to make salt water. Then the salt water we can electrolyze into chlorine and sodium hydroxide and a little bit of hydrogen as well. But it's mostly the chlorine we want from this. So that's the plan for today. That's the plan for the start of today. That should only take a few minutes to set up. Since those take 36 seconds to process a bucket, we will get one bucket in 20 seconds. So if we set up one chemical reactor and then 2 electrolyzers, one of them won't quite get filled, but it should kind of process everything in a timely fashion. And then we can just store the sodium hydroxide for the time being, because we are going to need this later on for, I think it's epichlorohydrin. Yeah, we're going to need that later on for epichlorohydrin, so we can store that. Absolutely loving Sky, Greg. You did disable the block compression and glass hardcore recipes, as those were too rough. I mean, fair. The glass is a bit of a pain, and the block compression is a bit of a pain as well. But I still miss sophisticated storage in that, but I just could not get it to work. Anyway, right. First things first, we need, what do we actually need? A chemical reactor and two is it electrolyzers we need for it, or was it centrifuges? It was electrolyzers, right? Yeah. Thankfully, we have a whole bunch of, I don't know why I've got 6 chemical reactors. I can't remember what they were being used for. But they were being used for something. We have an electrolyzer. We get the rest of the stuff we need. But if you're still around, Zedek, what do you have planned build wise? Like, do you have an idea in mind, or is it just kind of playing it by ear? Right. Next thing is how much power do we need? So that's basically 1 amp of LV, and I'm going to assume these are roughly 1 amp. Yeah. So we need a 4 amp converter. Do I have one available? I do. Perfect. And we need conductive iron wiring. You got your prize for that game demo you played overnight? While I was sitting up, not able to sleep in the heat. Now proud to be owner of the game you played the demo for. Agreed to get it when the unknown day for release arrives. So wait, what was the game again? I remember you did tell me, but I have a memory like a sieve, so I cannot remember. Oh, we are processing some salt water over here, by the way, as well. But this was from our fluid drill, which is no longer drilling because, well, it's kind of drilling still, but it's just ran out of fluid. Right, so if we set this up, how do we want to do this? Probably like that. And we need an interface. All will fall sandbox after the post-apocalyptic city builder with physics rules. Cool. All right. By the way, I'm going to apologize if I'm a little bit quieter than normal today as well. My brain is being a bit of a jerk today. All right. Get rid of that. We need lasers. Recolor that a little bit. Your brain's a bit smelted in the heat and went for the descriptive route first. That's fair. It is a little bit on the warm side at the moment. I'm kind of struggling a little bit. Right, we have infinite water in our ME system, but we may as well just output. May as well just make one of the infinite water covers instead. Do I need a circuit for any of this? No, and no. Perfect. Sat in the garden absorbing sunlight as medicine. Hopefully it helps. Banana. we have water. And we just need to insert gas tiers. Oh, just keep a couple of those in at any given time. Then we're going to need to extract... Oh, are we going to get anything else in here? Oh, right. I'm going to have to deal with the potassium, the tiny piles of potassium and lithium as well, aren't I? Do I have potassium in there? I do. Okay, so we should... Can I make a pack up? Good morning, Rallius. How you doing? Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't got the nicest of gardens, so I haven't, or the nicest of areas, just like outside our house in general. So we've not really got anywhere to go and sit outside or go outside that's relaxing in any way. Alright. And we want a robot arm. Just an LV1 should be fine. Went to the gym this morning, then went to to get breakfast, a strawberry banana yogurt smoothie with a double shot of espresso and a Nashville hot chicken sandwich. That sounds nice. I literally just had cereal for breakfast, so pretty much anything sounds nice compared to that. Alright, so we want to not do that at all. We actually want to do that. And then we need to set this to supply exactly... Is it the small piles we're getting out of this, or is it the tiny piles? Can I store that recipe? It's a tiny pile, so they will be in batches of 9. So if we set this to supply exactly 9, that will then supply 9 of those. And then turn them into the full dust, and then we can just store the full dust. Which need that on circuit 1. And then we can extract from there. Okay, and then that will extract on orange. Except that's a round robin. Speed doesn't really matter. And then we'll just filter these. Oh, by the way, there is an update to this pack that I didn't realise was there until just before I started the stream. So unfortunately, I'm not on the latest version at the moment. I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference, but... I am going to need a storage for sodium hydroxide, because I don't believe I have that yet. No, just sodium persulfate, which actually we are running out of sodium persulfate at the minute, which is not ideal. Right, okay, so we need a 4K drive for sodium hydroxide. No, it's not the big update, it's just another minor one. Hang on, let me go and check the patch notes for a second. Will it let me see the patch notes? It's nothing that's going to massively affect me anyway. But Nuclear Craft Neo fixing various issues with the reactors and adding EU support. EMI making crafting tree numbers more readable, which is about the only one that would possibly affect me, I think. FTB quests, making locked quests easier to read. And then just many others. That doesn't really help. And then recipes added Create 6.0 support. So they've added support in for the newer versions of Create now, which is nice. Buffed RF and fluid cell upgrades, decreased crafting times of end game casings, and then fixes, just various quest book fixes, fixed hard mode formic acid balancing, fixed bounty board causing a crash in hard mode, thermal systems, boilers now make GT modern steam, fixed an ABS recipe issue, microverse projector only requires an MV output bus at minimum, a fixed issue with vibrant quartz glass recipes, reverted a LBB buff, and fixed sophisticated storage IO recipes. That's it. So nothing major. Benjamin, how you doing? Alright. Where were we? There we go. Making sodium hydroxide, right? Yes. So I need that and that. I miss my labeler. Sodium hydroxides. Make sure that's in there. Alright, so that should insert into those. And then hey, my rocket fuel's finished. And then we should have storage already for hydrogen and chlorine. So we just need to output from both of these. And then output salts, gas tiers to here. Now the only thing is, I might want to limit the output of this. Just because we're only getting them like one every 25 seconds or so. And I would like to keep some gas tiers in stock. So if I set this to only output once every 30 seconds, how many ticks would that be? 600, I think. So if we set it to only output every 600 ticks. That should be fine. I've just realised I've done this the wrong way around, haven't I? Oh no, I haven't. No, never mind. I was going to say I thought this was slower than these for some reason, but I've got it the wrong way around. I'd like to keep an eye on this to make sure that this actually works. So we're gonna have to wait till at least like 9 of these recipes have gone through. And then it should pull these, when it's got a stack of 9, into the packer and then turn them into the full dusts. My 2 drive set network set up on it. It's on a separate network. It's got, if I can find, where the hell did I put it? It's down here, isn't it? Yeah, we've got just a separate network. Literally just the quantum ring so we can get the wireless access to it. And then it's just a separate network, basically. Nothing wildly exciting. Oh, hold on. Okay. Alright. So, I think once we've got that done, how are we doing this? Because we're starting to run a little short on sodium persulfate. So how do I want to deal with that? I think we'll leave it for the time being, and then we'll worry about it later, because we can use the sodium hydroxide in order to get to sodium sulfate. Yeah, if we combine it with sulfuric acid, which is basically what we're doing in here, that will give us sodium bisulfate, and the sodium bisulfate then gets electrolyzed into sodium persulfate and hydrochloric acid, I think. Yes, Banana. Oh, is Twitch playing up again? Is anyone else having any buffering issues from Twitch? But yeah, I tend to use, like, relatively... I use the largest discs I can realistically afford at the time, and then, thankfully, with the way Applied Energistics works, it's easy to upgrade them later. Okay, I did screw that up, because that is still set to exports. Let's make sure that's still going to work. Not that it would make much difference, honestly, because we're going to be getting these in at the same rate anyway, and as soon as we get 9 in, it'll just, like... Yeah, it's not going to make a difference. Also have 7 lost frames. I've actually surprisingly not dropped any frames yet on my end, which is quite nice. Right, okay, so that should be up and running, and we should start getting some more chlorine in. Not that we're, like, massively short on chlorine right now. I do only have a 1K storage drive for chlorine, though, so I might want to up that to a 4K. Just to be on the safe side. And then we can actually finally start working on the building. And all we should need to do is put that into there. Take that out of there. And then put it through there. I should really put some more acceleration cards in there. And then we can reuse that later. Perfect. Okay, right. So, I think what I could actually do with doing, and I think I'm probably going to do first of all, is I want to set up a little to-do board, because there's a bunch of things we need to actually work on, kind of like build-wise here, which we're going to be doing over the next week or so. And I'm going to forget what they are if I don't actually write them down somewhere. So I think down here for the time being. Do I have frog lights still? I could have sworn I had a bunch of frog lights. They're not still at the old base, are they? Oh, they are. This was our old to-do board. Oh yeah, and I keep forgetting we don't have vein miner. Right, so if we just, for the time being, just set this up here. This is our board of things that we need to do, build-wise. Now, we need to sort... One of the big things that needs to get sorted out is the connection between, like, the bottom and the top of here, and enclosing this area at the bottom. Because this is all supposed to be enclosed down here. So we need to kind of enclose the lower areas. We need to enclose the lower area. We need to... wait, hold on. And... connect to the top. So enclosing this area and then connecting this bit so we've got kind of some kind of support structure between like there and there. That's a large part of what we need to do at the bottom of here. We are going to need... This was supposed to be kind of like a garden-y kind of area down here as well, so we're going to have to do something with that. So kind of gardenify, that's a word, right? The kind of the power gen area. So that's what this area is down here. Do I have glowing sacks? I do. Perfect. Right. At the top, we'll add to this as we go. The first thing I want to do though is actually work on this central tower. The idea is basically going to be this wall here, this inner wall here is going to go up to around about the same height as this. This is going to be taller than it is now. Taller than it is now. This is going to go much higher, even if it's not used. Like just as on an aesthetic level, the tower in the center needs to be much bigger than everything else. And then this inner wall is going to continue all the way up along with that. This outer wall will probably go up to a little way up here and then kind of like angle in to the center of here. And then that's going to make up the kind of the central tower. These outer bits, I still haven't 100% figured out what I want to do yet. This is kind of the bits that I'm thinking of that we need to do right now. So let's start on the central tower. Let's just start kind of planning stuff out. There will be a lot of going backwards and forwards. I have not, as always, I have not planned any of this off stream or in a creative world or anything like that. So this is just going to kind of come together as we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe you want it to go up to about there-ish. Like that high. Because this is going to be kind of like a little corridor that will allow us to be able to get through to all the other various sides. And then I think the way we're going to do this as well, the two sides of this are going to be like a little bit taller. The idea is going to be that the north and the south sides are going to be a little bit taller. Largely because I'm going to have the... I don't want it to be completely symmetrical, and B, because we're going to have the all of the various distillation towers in here. So it's going to need to be a little bit taller anyway. But these will eventually be like multiple floors regardless. But this is kind of the idea. I don't want it to be quite because as it stands at the minute, like it's going to look a little... What's the word? It's not quite what I want at the moment. It's going to be a little bit... But like I want like bits of like height variation. That's why I wanted to have like these platforms slightly higher than the platforms down here, and then this slightly higher as well. Like I like height variation in my builds. So we're going to try and fit some of that in there. I haven't quite figured it out yet. We'll get the kind of the basic idea and size and shape and everything figured out first. And then we'll kind of go from there. I've got to find a way connecting these in a nice way between here and here as well. Will there be more lime green lights? I don't know if there'll be lime green lights. There will definitely be lime green glass. We kind of decided against the lime green lights in favor of the plain white ones because we're going to be planning on having a lot of like nature-y stuff in here as well anyway. I want it to be somewhat gardeny around the entire build. green lights would kind of clash with it. So we're going to get the lime green in other ways. Hopefully. Oh, I also need to figure out how we're going to get up and down from the bottom. That's another bit I haven't quite figured out yet. Elevators will likely be involved, but elevators only have, I believe it's like a 19 or 20 block range or something along those lines. And that floor down there is further away than that. So I need to come up with an idea for how I'm going to work that. This might be a good time to... That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. Travel anchors are a thing, yeah. I like there to be somewhat tangible ways of moving around. Though, elevators would not be my preferred thing. Travel anchors probably are probably going to need anyway at some point. Assuming, hang on, let me just double check they are there, yeah. Travel anchors are going to need to be a thing anyway because it's just going to be too much of a pain traveling around. Since we're not going to be able to just fly up and over once we've got a build here, we're going to have to either use travel anchors or travel around the way it's intended. The way I'm building the base, though, building this up, is I want it to be built in such a way that, like, you're meant to walk around. It looks good as you walk around it. You can still fly around it, obviously, but it's design. We're gonna design it with the intention of you would be walking around it. Yeah, elevators and things like that, like you say, they are very kind of gamey. I'd love to have like a... This is one of the reasons I would have liked to have added create to this, because the create elevators would have been quite cool. It would have been quite nice to have the create elevators in there. Okay. At least create elevators, they have like a kind of a tangible kind of moving up and down of them, which I like. I could really do with a better backpack. Wait, can I upgrade this backpack yet? Actually, not even sure what tier it is. Only gold tier at the moment. So we need Signalum. Can we make Signalum now? We should be able to. I think the only thing that was holding us back from it before was we didn't have a blast chiller. And we do now. So that might be something to look at soon. Right. So I think actually the first thing we want to do, let's figure out how tall we want this thing. Bearing in mind these things, we kind of need to gauge the height of this based on everything else around it as well, so it doesn't look too tall, too short. So we kind of need to judge where things are going to go. So if we do like 9, 10, 11, say 11 blocks for each floor of this, and then it would be, what, 3 blocks as a maintenance floor? Assuming we have... That's probably what we would need on the outer ones. I don't know if we're going to need anything bigger than that, because if you look at that, like, if you look at the size of that, if that's just a single floor, bearing in mind these ones on the north and south are probably going to have more than one floor, at least in those center 3 chunks. So if you imagine another floor that size on top of it, like, that tower in the middle is going to look really insubstantial if it stays this height. We kind of just want to figure out how high up we want this thing to go, or at least a rough idea of it. I might need to increase my render distance a bit as well. This is going to be a bad idea with shaders on, but we are going to end up getting laggy. Right, where are we at the minute? We're at Y1. Does anybody know what the build height is now? Oh god, it definitely feels laggy. Right, hang on. Let's see what this is going to be like. Let's kind of build up a little tower in the middle here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then that would be where the next floor is, and then 2, 3 for a maintenance. Like 512. 512 doesn't seem right. I think it's less than 512. And hello, JJ. How are you doing? Right, also bear in mind that this is gonna... I would like to have a couple of floors here, but I'd like to have one floor that kind of looks out. Like, this is gonna be, like, this floor all the way up to the ceiling, so this is gonna be where the distillation towers are. But I would like another floor here where we can have, like, a balcony and look out over the distillation towers in the center. So maybe we can actually do these outer bits. Maybe... I don't want to do them any smaller than 11 blocks, though. 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I don't really want to do them any smaller than that. If we assume that that is roughly the height that the outer... That those, the left and the right... the north and the south are going to be... so that probably wants to go a little higher than that still, doesn't it? I'm starting to worry that this is going to look very, very insubstantial, this tower in the middle. Obviously, it's going to be it's going to be kind of out to, like, that inner wall there, the tower is, but it's still going to feel a little short, I think. I'm also now very curious where the height limit is. Well, we've lost the rest of the base. It's gone. I was thinking it was like 300 and something was my guess. Yeah, there we go. 319. We're definitely not going up that high, by the way, but I was just curious. Like 319. I don't know why. Why 319? $319 seems like a somewhat arbitrary number. Oh, because 320, yeah, 320 is a multiple of 64, isn't it? So it would actually be 320 if you count 0 as the first number. Right, what number what Y level were we at before? If we leave that at, say, 220-ish. Bear in mind, everything past pretty much the top of that is going to be purely decorative anyway. That's not awful. I don't hate that. Right, I need to have a quick look and see if we can make signalum yet. Uh, oh, no, we need RTM alloy. We need IV power and RTM alloy coils. Yeah, no, not quite yet. Okay, so if we assume that this is going up, let's assume that, let's just do it in terms of like, we're assuming that every floor is the same height as these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, 11 blocks in between these as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. And then that would be maintenance floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I cannot place blocks to save my life today. I think I'm going to have to turn render distance down a little bit now. 20 chunks is maybe a little much. Well, actually, and having said that there's not going to be any green lights, once we're away from the areas where we're going to have like the gardens and stuff like that, it's going to matter a lot less. And we can have the green. Drew, how you doing? Unfortunately, we are probably going to have to look at this base with a higher render distance if when we actually properly look at it, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, then that'll be the height of this then. At least what we're intending the height to be. You can almost see it all from down here. Almost. What are we looking at? Let's maybe take it up a little bit. Not quite. Thank you, Drew. Right, what we should be able to do, though... I never made a copy-paste gadget, did I? Which will at least use that for copy-pasting each of these little bits. By the way, this just as a warning, this build is going to look worse before it looks good. It's going to look a mess before it actually starts to look really decent. So keep that in mind. So do from there up to there. Right, I have a feeling that's not going to be right. Or is it? Oh, it's right. Well, no, it is. That's just the way builds work. Like they tend to look worse before they look better. Because like when you're in the kind of the whole kind of planning and experimentation phase of it, it's always going to look a little bit off. And then once you start finding the like how you want it to work, then it starts to look better. It's not just me putting myself down this time. For once. Well, we'll see if it's worth it. We don't know yet. It might not work out at all. By the way, I'm not putting the top one on just because we haven't got the whole of this bit on the top one. So yeah, we will be getting the basic structure and the basic shape figured out. And then we'll be kind of expanding from there. And detailing from there. That definitely needs a little bit more interest to it, this tower. Like, we'll have that as we're building up. Like, I actually kind of like the idea almost of having almost like a little garden area in there. And I think we do want the whole of this intersection to go out as far as at least maybe the middle of this floor. Have the whole thing go up to at least there. Right, okay. Get rid of that for now. Put those in there. Right, so with that being said, because this is very insubstantial here. Like we need something more on the end of here. This also this kind of is going to be open all the way up to the top. There's going to be this open area all the way up to the top. But I think, do I want this to line, like this kind of line here to line up with that in any way? Or do I want to offset it? I don't know. Because one thing I don't want, though, as well, is, especially in this outer ring out here, I don't want these pillars here, like, I don't want these to stay in the same spot all the way up. I want them to kind of alternate a little bit. So, like, this one with the pillar on the next section of here would go up in the center of there, although I think we do kind of want a...
Oh, I see.
I
Right
think we need to have
away,
these line up, don't we?
you yellow bastard!
I think this needs to be higher. Oh, nice. Good luck, Quiet. Well, it is only a short story after all. But yeah, I think we do want to have these at the same height as that. Much as I like the offset in heights, I think we need it. Actually, maybe we just... Because we are going to have glass like most of the way up from this. Not in all areas, but most of the way up. From like here all the way up to the very top. Hmm. Dodgy Ziddick raidy thing ish. Wolfie, how you doing? Yeah, I think we do have to have this line up with here. At least on these middle sections. Oh, too high. And then we'll have almost like a maintenance floor on the outside of there. I think... Let's try and make one side of this. Let's do it on one of the north-south sides. Let's build up one of those sides and do it on this one. See how things kind of connect up. I would love a faster pickaxe. Wait, actually, that's a good point. Oh, see, it would be so much easier if we had this. The Omnibreaker. I'm not stopping to get to that, though. If I do that, then we'll just end up not doing any building at all. For that, the Omnibreaker will basically break any block instantly. As I understand it, at least. You're okay, you think. You're not entirely sure. Hey, how you doing? It'd be like that, and then there would be... Yeah, I think we make sure we have these... These bits in line with here, but not necessarily everything outside of those. Okay, me, I'm doing alright, I guess. The only thing I'm not keen on with this is the fact that we haven't got anything in here that this kind of lines up with. We can fix that, potentially, but... we will see. And we'll kind of bring this all the way up to the top. You're having issues again, Guitar Lilin. What is going on? Hey, I was using that banana. I'm going to turn the internet off and on again. Alright. So, bring this up here as well. No wonder the internet's not working. We've got Tribble chewing away at the cables, and Bernardo's just turning it off and on again willy nilly. It's just no wonder it's not working. Is that all of the sides raised up? It is. Not sure how I feel about this. So this is going to be an incredibly tall kind of corridor to walk through. And I wish I could have had a little bit more width in there. Hmm. Actually, let me have a quick look. If we are still gaining gas tiers. And once we do get this structure all sorted out, we've still got to figure out what we're going to do, like, inside each of these buildings. How much concrete do I have right now? Oh, practically none. Okay. Right, how do I link the copy-paste gadget again? It mentioned it in here, I think, didn't it? Building gadgets can be found to the ME system by shift right-clicking with it on an online ME wireless access point. Okay, so I do need to put my wireless access point back on again then. Right, when it's linked, does it need to stay connected or can I disconnect it at that point? Going back and forth on plan, should you change the drawers to controllers instead and use a shit ton of channels? Guidance to drive instead, use a shit ton. I mean, you don't use that many channels when you're doing it that way. Especially if you... Do you have extended A in the pack, Guitar Lilin? I can't remember. Because with the extended drives, you can get like 20 of them in one drive. Assuming you have access to that at the moment. Oh, shh. I ballsed up. Hold on. That should still be in the right place, right? Yeah, and then if we just manually build this bit onto the top. Right, now we should be fine. Such a weird but interesting take on it. I just like the idea of, like, resources not being an issue. And, like, the challenge coming down to the automation. Although I will say, every time I've tried playing it so far, my first few hours of playtime is literally spent just trying to get nether ancient debris. Because once you get ancient debris, you can basically make all your tools unbreakable. Which is just nice in general. I mean, you already disabled the hard mode recipes for like glass and you said and compression, the like material compression. But why not disable that one as well? I mean, make it enjoyable for yourself. No real reason not to. Give you vibes of an ID software style cathedral to GT. Is it ID software or id software? I've never been entirely sure what the intended way to say that is. I've always said ID, but I've heard most other people call it id software. Or maybe a variation of the chash where you strive is for one pot or cage or beehive. I mean, that would work as well. Id as in the psyche, okay. Not ID as in identification. It feels like that's an automation gate as there's a modular routers, block breaker modules which require picks. That's true. So long as you start with a netherite hammer though. And so long as you keep your netherite hammer, you can always just break the whatever you need to with it. The only annoying thing is you can, I normally set the modular router up to automate breaking things. And then obviously, because you can only put an iron pick in there at best to begin with, it will mine everything except for Naquadah and ancient debris. So you have to keep going back and checking on it every now and then. Okay. So that gives us a bit more of an idea of the height. It still doesn't feel tall enough. We can make it taller than that anyway, in fairness, but I think that'll work though. There probably is going to be changes to things as we go. Right, so where do we want this outer wall to come up to? Like, height-wise? That's the next question. I don't know why I broke that down again. I kind of feel like it needs to go... I was going to say it needs to go higher than that, but I don't think it does. I think it does need to go any higher than that. Hmm. There's going to be a lot of standing back and looking at this, by the way, while I figure out how I want this to work. I don't want these pillars to be going up at in the same place all the way across. I think maybe if we bring for the next, actually we need to, I think these center bits are going to be slightly offset from these, so if we do kind of that, there's one downside to, wait, have we got a we've not got the import and export cards for the wireless terminals in this, which is a little bit of an annoyance. I'm gonna have to put those in there just so I can have some to manually build stuff with when I need to. Do I have any netherrack anywhere? I have a feeling we are going to spend quite a bit of time building this up and getting it to a point where I'm happy. I think the problem I'm gonna run into is I'm gonna do bits of it, and then I'm gonna look back on it after I've done it on all 4 sides, then realize I'm not actually happy with that. Then I'm gonna have to go in and tear it all down and rebuild. And it's gonna be a very time-consuming process. Hopefully worthwhile, though. As Quiet said. Who knows, dead man? But you're one way or the other, you're here, though. How are you doing? I hope you're feeling alright. Okay, and then from here, we kind of want... Bring that up there, and then... There, and then do we have a center point on this? We do. And then I guess we'd also have a pillar there. This will come out to there, and we just kind of offset it slightly. And then some of these are going to be... Oh, I wonder. I've just had a thought. I don't know whether it's going to work out or not. I will explain in a moment. I kind of almost like the idea of having... I wish there was an easy block I could fill this all the way up to the top with. I don't know if we've got enough glax to be able to do it. I'd fill it all the way up to the top and then just break out the bits that we need. There's like a scaffolding block, like not actual vanilla scaffolding, but like a scaffolding block that you could just place down. You could kind of see through. And then just get rid of when we didn't need it anymore. Depends what else is in the pack. Anything that you can use to rename an item should work. So things like the labeler from Integrated Dynamics. I can't think of what else would work. The naming plates from Applied Energistics, but those aren't a great option. But anything that you could rename an item with will work. I'm just using an anvil in here because that's like the only option we have. Right. So this would be a lot easier if I had Vein Miner as well. I kind of like the idea of... Where would this be? I kind of like the idea of having like a little diamond shape coming down like there to there and then onto the next floor as well. I don't know how that's going to work out though. I kind of, you know what I'm going to do? Just for this section, hold on, let me just make a bunch of glax. I don't have a lot of green dye though. Let's go and sort that out. Where is... I'm on the opposite side. Right, let's make a recipe for green dye. And if we just do these 16 at a time. And put that in there. I would actually like to... I think I'm going to do... Do I have enough Canthal to make 13 Canthal... Or can I make 13 Canthal coils? Yeah. Right, we'll start 13 Canthal coils going. So I want to upgrade those multi-smelters. And I guess let's also make recipes for... glax and that. There we go. All right. All right. Good day for a change. Getting that fever for next week's metal festivities. Wait, what's going on next week? I'm assuming a festival of some description, dead man. I figured that was the case, dead man. I figured that's what was going on there. Right, so if we just say 2048 of those. Let's see how many of these I actually know. I'm gonna guess not many. Muse I've heard of. Never heard of Dream Theater, Electric Callboy, Powerwolf. I can't even see who that is to the right of them. Don't know any of those. Green Day I know. Sex Pistols. Wait, aren't they all dead at this point? How are they still alive? Weezer I've heard of. Only like the major headliners I might have heard of. Avenged Sevenfold. I recognize the name. Megadeth, I recognize the name. Most of those I have no idea who they are, dead man. Best metal festival in Norway. I will have to take your word for that. All right, so get rid of that, and let's just. Cause we're not going to be using glass for glax rather for most of this, but where's the side that we started on over here? Right, what we're going to do is we are literally just going to bring this all the way up as far as we can. If we can bring it up to that next thing, that'll be great. Now, obviously, we don't want... Oh, hang on, I've missed a bit here. Obviously, we don't want this all to be... glass. It's going to be a little boring. The entire thing is literally just glass. But this gives us something to kind of build against, I guess. But what we want to be able to do is... something like that. That just doesn't look right, though, does it? Like, I don't think there's a... I don't know how I could make that look right. And then the other side would be... like that. I'm not doing that effect there, man. That's not what we're going for. Like, we don't have enough space to do that kind of effect. The whole idea with this section is that this is open from floor to ceiling. That's the whole kind of point of this. That's not. Oh, well, shit. Well, I like that effect as well, but you can't just kind of go and put those effects like wherever. They have to go in places that make sense. Like if you just go and put them just kind of like in any situation, it's just not going to work. Yeah, I can see why. I don't like that. I don't think that works. Like, we're just trying to get the shapes here. I am using my silk touch pick, right? Yeah. Like, I like the idea, but like trying to wrap things around like an angled wall. Not the easiest thing to do. Let me get rid of what's on here as well. Actually, let's bring that back up. Obviously, we're also going to have like actual angles we can use on this. So we've obviously got frame blocks as well. But I don't know how well these will work on an actual angle. Do I have any frame slopes? I could have sworn I had some. Ah, they're all in there. I think what we might be better off doing is rather than having it. Is that's gone across the outside, isn't it? Yeah, if we just do something like that instead. Maybe I've gone down one too far there. Rather than having it as like a diamond shape, we have it just kind of angled down. This way it works a little better. Like, it looks a little weirder. A little less weird, rather. It still adds a bit of shape to it, but it just looks a little less weird. Hmm. Thank you, JJ. It's getting there. I'm still not sold on a lot of the parts of this yet. Also, this is really difficult to do without being able to see the preview from frame blocks. I keep placing things in the wrong frickin' place. But I don't want to turn shaders off because we want to make this look good with shaders. That just looks off. I think the thing that looks off with it is this. Like, where this meets here is because it's squared rather than angled. It just looks a little weird. We could I don't think that's going to help it, though. Unfortunately. What we can do, though, that should help, or potentially help at least. Where are they? Or maybe will help. I don't know. We kind of need to break it up a little bit. So if we can just basically fit these into here. In these sections, you don't have the glass kind of cutting through in quite the same way. But it still looks weird. Okay, yeah, that looks even weirder. Why did I decide to make... This is why it's nice to make square bases. You don't deal with this shit with square bases. I'm going to have to turn shaders off for a minute so I can see this. Come on. I can't even tell if that's the right way or not. I think that is. Yeah. I was trying to avoid too many of these kind of blocks. For anybody who knows me, by the way, that I am going to be exceptionally picky about how this looks. For anyone who doesn't know me, should I say? So it does have to kind of look perfect. Or at least as close as I can possibly get. Oh, I was wondering, like, why can't I just shift-click this back into my hotbar? Because this is still refilling. That's driving me nuts. Alright. And let's just try and refill this. I think no matter how we look at this, though, like, this is never going to be perfect. Like, it's just not possible on a diagonal like this to get it exactly how I would want it to be. Did I tell you about square bases? You do like your square bases. We're obviously not... Wait, what's that bit missing there? Yeah, that one needs to be fixed. That would need to be fixed as well, but... That's just too much of a... That's just too bright of a section in there. It just... And drive me up the wall. Let's put it back to how it was before. I'm going to keep playing around with this until we get it to into a point where I'm happy with it. We might be here a little while. I like this idea. Like, I think this could work nicely. It's just this bit here. This diagonal across there. Just that's going to be weird. I think shape-wise, I like that. Like, shape-wise, in terms of how that bit looks, I like it. It's just that little bit in there. If I can fix that, I think it'll be all right. Although, from this angle, it looks a little weird. Right. Well, let's just try and do kind of like the opposite. That go there or I'm not sure. Fuck. Problem is that we wouldn't want to go. I don't know if I'd want to get that to go there or not. We need this to be like just an interesting shape. That's like the main thing I want from this. That's gone one too high up, hasn't it? So waiting for Superman or something to burst out. Well, let's hope not, because it's going to break shit if they do. So to keep the drawers as a backup kind of thing, but do drives towards the storage system. It just looks a little weird. Although, honestly, at this point, this actually doesn't matter too much, because this bit here isn't going to matter too much, because this is probably still, this outer area is still going to go up a little way. I like that shape, though. I think that shape works. We just need to see what it's like with it mirrored on the inside. I'm going to run out of framed blocks. Yeah, I'm going to run out of framed blocks. Hold on. Let me get more framed blocks. That should do us for slopes, or at least for a little while. I am running out of concrete in my offhand again. Well, actually, where this is at the moment is actually going to have to move, I think. So this is more turning into a kind of like a test area. If you ever sees your setup, he's so going to shake his head at you. Not at all. Yeah, I think that works. I think I do still need to have the glowing blocks in between, and possibly have like a ring of. No, that's not going to work, is it? I don't know. It looks a little weird from down here, but I think all in all, I think that's as a design is going to kind of work. No, we're not turning it into an eye. Bearing in mind, this is not meant to be kind of like a fantasy build or anything like that. It is. It's kind of a fantasy in the sense that it doesn't exist, but it's not meant to be like the Eye of Sauron or anything like that in here. This is just meant to be an interesting design in the building. The fact that everyone's commenting on it and doing that is actually making me want to change it. Honestly. But that, I like that idea. Okay. So what we need to do then is just figure out how we're going to connect, like how tall this is going to be. And how we're going to connect this, all of this to that inner wall. Whatever we do, I think we're going to have to bring that into there instead, just so it lines up with that. The next thing is, I also don't want this bit here to be just like flat, because that's going to suck if it is. All right, let's see. Hmm. This is going to end up getting really laggy, by the way. This basis. Hmm. We've still got to connect this up to there as well. That's... Hey, Panda, how you doing? How many times am I going to have to repair my pick during this? That actually works out reasonably well. I'm trying to kind of figure out in my head at the minute, like, which bits are actually going to be solid walls and which bits aren't. I wish my brain would just work in like a straight line with things. It would make life a whole lot easier rather than just jumping between different ideas for things. Right, so we know that this is going to be a solid wall. This is going to be a solid wall. I need a way to connect this to here. This will make a lot more sense, hopefully, once I get a little bit further into it. I'm not even going to attempt to explain my thought process right now, by the way, because it's not going to end well. That's solid wall across here. Well, not solid, but... Actually, that would probably do want to be slightly thicker. I hate the weird lighting glitches on these. Like with shaders, when you look at it like that, the light just kind of, it makes it very, very obvious. Quiet's just shouting at people now. Yeah, this is the downside to framed blocks. Because that is going to bug the hell out of me. You can't see as much from a distance, but... from certain angles, it's not too bad. But I don't know if I can live with that. I don't know if I can live with that. But it looks fine without shaders. But we do want this looking good with shaders. That's a little thicker than I would like it to be. I kind of want this to be like one block down from where it is. Actually, that isn't atrocious. I don't know if I can do this like this, if we've got to deal with this. I wonder if is there any other shaders we've got on here that we can use that might be... Is there anything we can do to stop that issue? I don't think there is. Just never look at it from that side, maybe? I don't think that's really an option, though. Wait, hold on. I was hoping the lighting in there would make a difference. These will probably actually end up being green lights. Hold on. Since we're not worrying about daylight cycle. Hey, you can't really tell it at night. It looks fine at night. It's just during the daytime that it's a problem. If we only ever look at it at night, we'll be fine. That's not really going to work how I want it to, is it? That was kind of the idea for these bits, is to have kind of like little neon-y sections like that. Some said it's a permanent night. I mean, it's the only real option, right? Will these still look neon-y if they are... That would explain it. Oh, they do still show up as glowing. Yeah, I am a fan of the anti-blocks, I have to say. A lot of this may well have to change, by the way. I don't know for certain, but might do. We might need a little bit of something in here as well. I'm not sure what. How would that work, actually? If we were to do... something like that. I'd have liked to have been able to have that, like, all the way down to here, but there's just not the space for it, unfortunately. Since I want that to be kind of like an archway, like an open. Like an archway, so it would have, that's the, kind of the best we can do with that. They do look a little weird, like the tops of those boots do look a little weird with them being framed blocks on those ones, unfortunately, but there's not a lot we can do about that. And then we'd obviously mirror this on the other side, and then the idea is going to be we mirror that, and we kind of... And then that will come around there. That's not going to work. That's going to have to be made solid again. It'll be like that. And then we want it to kind of come across here and then up into this section here. If I don't fall off. Actually, could we do that with... Oh my god, stop doing that. Not sure about that bit. A bit like that, and then... How do we do that? That's going to be a problem, isn't it? Actually, that's not going to be a problem, because that's in the wrong freaking place anyway. These are supposed to be here. That still needs to be a little thicker, doesn't it? It does need to have an extra block in between. I'm curious what this would look like with the green anti-blocks. Unfortunately, even if we do really like this, the downside is we've then got to repeat it on all 4 sides. Or some variation of it. The only thing I wish I could have here would be a way of this flowing from there around to there. And I don't know if there's a way I can reasonably do that without it looking weird. Mm, don't know how I feel about that. It kind of looks a little wonky. No. Hey, Freefall. How you doing? Not a fan of that. I could fit something in there to make that look a little better. Oh, actually, that might work. I don't hate that. I love it, but I don't hate it either. I have never used a E2 portable self. I've never had a need to. Yeah, I saw you mention that in Banana's chat yesterday. I'd never noticed that before. And obviously I've never, because I've never really looked at them before. It's not something I've ever really noticed. Don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, but I think it's okay. All right, let me try mirroring this. I'm sure they have their reasons for it. I don't know what those reasons are, but I'm sure they have their reasons for it. I have not got enough frame slopes. I would love to know how many framed slopes I've used in this world so far. It is a lot. It could be that, yeah. I don't know how I feel about this bit either. Let me get the other side on this and see how it looks. That looks a little more like it, actually. I promise you started on a basement for order crafting, but now you don't know how you want to set up the controller. We'll reach the basement. This is why I always try and plan in advance. Because I pretty much have those same problems. Yeah. Yeah, I've used annihilation planes. We're using them at the minute on for making Certus quartz. I'm not looking forward to mirroring this on the other three sides. This is gonna be rough. All right. It does have a copy paste gadget, but it doesn't necessarily but it doesn't work with framed blocks very well. It's not going to place it's not going to place the blocks that they're framed with. They could possibly copy the structure, but just not the entirety of it. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of using the copy-paste gadget anyway. I feel like it limits creativity quite a bit. Well, yeah, I know, but that's not the point. The point is that using a copy paste gadget, you basically once you've got it there, that's it, it's done. if I'm there, if I'm say if I don't use a copy paste gadget and then I continue building this and realize, oh shit, this would have looked better like this. I'm not going to do that when I'm copy pasting. If I just accidentally place something in the wrong place and realize it looks better, I don't get that when I'm when you copy. You don't get that when you copy paste. It kind of it removes the chance of Bob Ross style happy little accidents. And I like to have the ability to have those. Wonder if Bob Ross would have tried Minecraft. I don't know. Maybe. He was a creative fellow. He would have enjoyed it. Okay. Let's see what this looks in the daytime. Like, or should I say what it looks like without shaders. Looks alright. Right, let's just clear this out. It doesn't make a difference, Freefall. There's a lot of weirdness with framed blocks and shaders. Like, no matter what you do, there is weirdness between the two. Rebel, thank you for the hydrate, man. I appreciate it. Not sure why I'm using a framed block there, but changing the brightness, I would be very surprised if it makes a difference. It's not to do with the brightness, I don't think. We'll see, though. Does nothing. These probably do want to be replaced with full blocks for now, and then the slopes added on top. Just because otherwise there's going to be too much of a gap between the top of there and these, which we don't really want. And we ran out of... We ran out completely of those. Yes. Yes, we did. All right, so that comes out to there, right? Yeah, that goes up there. I think that works. I'm absolutely going to regret the amount of frame blocks I'm using in this base. But on the plus side, it is going to look pretty good. Hopefully. Right. And I don't think this is going to be the same on all four sides. I think this is going to be like this on the north and south sides, and going to be slightly different on the other sides. Now, I've just got to figure out how the rest of this is going to go. We'll figure out how we're doing this on kind of one side, and then we'll kind of work from there. Should I wake up Kath and tell him you want to play some board games in about half an hour? I mean, why not Guitar London? It's only going to be a very, very short stream today anyway. We're probably only going to be going for maybe another half hour or so. So don't worry too much about missing the stream. There will be plenty more building to come tomorrow, though. Try the game you put your work money into? I mean, why not? May as well do. But no, I'm very much struggling to focus at the moment. Which, honestly, I'm surprised I've got as much done as I have. And it really isn't much. In fact, I really have barely got anything done here, haven't I? If you think about it. It is progress, yeah, this is true. Like I say, I'm surprised I've made this much progress given how my... I was saying earlier, in Discord, my head is, for want of a better way of putting it, it's very noisy today. And focus is becoming an issue. Or has been an issue all day, in fact. Right. Damn it, what the shit, quiet.
Stupid noisy thoughts be gone.
If only. If only. I see, that looks fine now. Now that we've set it to noon, it's fine. Like, none of the weird texture-y stuff is there. I got a little bit of weirdness on these, but... and on those. But I don't actually hate that. Adds a little bit of variation to it. Yeah, this must be quiet. Hang on, let me see. If we just set it to day. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I think while we're building it, we'll stick with having it like this. I don't know what we're going to do here, though. I don't really want... I'd kind of like this to be... a little bit inset. I'd actually kind of like this, probably like this to be a slightly darker texture as well. There we go. Right. So from here, what we need to do is, I think we want this to be built up a little bit further. From like there. And then I think from that point, we then start to angle this in towards the center. Or maybe, does that need to go a little bit higher? I think that needs to go a little bit higher. In some capacity, anyway. Those are different heights, aren't they? Yeah, because that's in the wrong height. That should be there. Yes, Guitar Loan, it is. Those should be roughly in the right place now. I have run out of concrete again. You know that 131,000 concrete that I said was probably going to be enough? It's probably not going to be enough. We may have to set up the concrete making machine again. Because we've not used too much yet, but we are... Oh, I think I do want this to be shifted in a little earlier because I don't want to kind of cover over this little bit here. What can we do with this? Also, how are we doing for gas tiers? We are dropping gas tiers. We should have been not dropping gas tiers. We should have been slightly gaining them, but we're clearly not making quite as many as we should be. Um, hmm. The more I look at that, the more I like that bit. I think it works really well. I think what we probably want to do is have this actually... come in a little way to here. I'd like to kind of utilize some of like this kind of thing as well in here. Somehow. I'd like this to kind of come into here and then in... So have that come in from there into there. I've got a bit of... maybe I have an idea for how we can work that. I make that look a little bit more interesting. Maybe. But I think we'd want this to be like here instead. I'm assuming the slope panels cannot be placed like along the ground. I'm assuming there's an alternate version for that. I'm just thinking if we can have like a slight slope here. Kind of... yeah, hold on. Let's see if I can find what I need. Yeah, those. Those and those, although just those would probably work. We just get a few of those and a few of those. Hey, Life, how you doing? At this point, it is very much just about finding interesting shapes. For this build. Like that, for me, I think it is a lot of what building is about, is just finding interesting shapes. And interesting ways to make those shapes work. Should we want that to be fairly thick? And do something in between that, and then have this kind of an alternating thing. It's just having a lot of fun trying out a new pack. So fiance can play S2E with you again. What's the new pack? Yeah, something like that just adds a little bit of added shape to it. The only thing is, I don't know what we'll do in these corner sections here. If we're kind of bringing this across. Create 2 mechanism sky. That's one hell of a name. I'm going to assume a complete guess here that it's based around creating mechanism. Would that be a reasonable guess? Also, this is what I mean by this looking worse before it gets better. Like, bits of this are looking kind of cool, but overall it looks kind of a mess right now. This is the joys of the idea generating stage. Everything just looks like a train wreck. As much as I hate the phrase, you kind of got to trust in the process with this. It's a mouthful. It's basically cabin, but in skyblock. Oh, cool. Well, and, the way they're both Create 6.0 and based off Create Above and Beyond. Makes sense. Speaking of Create 6, you know, they've now officially added support for Create 6 in Moni now. The other tricky bit with something like this is figuring out how you do the diagonals. Diagonals are definitely the tricky bit here. All right. And I'm going to be out of slopes again. One thing I also do need to make sure I do with this is to not try to add too much detail everywhere. Because if you have too much detail everywhere, then it loses a lot of its impact. I think that's going to look quite nice, though. I don't know what we're going to do in this bit here yet, but I think that kind of works. The only thing now is figure out this diagonal bit. I'd like to kind of keep some of this in here as well. How the fuck do we do this? Like, is there a way we can do it? Something like this. It's going to look a little weird, though, I think. I don't know, though. Maybe not. So this morning when you wake up and you have it downloading, when you're not on your server and watching Twitch, as your Wi-Fi gets sanky. Damn Wi-Fi. Needs to chill out. Something like that. I don't know how we'd do... like these bits on there, or whether we even need to do those bits, because... Actually, I think this does need to come one block further out. So here instead, that's going to work a little better. I'm stuck. I'm Right, then how do we do this? Do we just basically do the same thing as we're done with these? Now, obviously, we need something behind here. Behind this, I think what we kind of want to do is have... What's going to be the best way to do this? Basically, I want to have lights behind, like some of the illuminated blocks behind there. So, like, they look a little, like, just looks a little different as you kind of rotate around it. Also got to figure out what I'm doing with these. I think that's going to work. Although I am missing a bunch of those now. Okay, cool. Right, I think that's going to work. I think even if we aren't going to get too much more done today, we have at least got some... a good idea of how certain parts of this are going to work. And then this is largely how my kind of buildings come about. How my builds come about. It's just a whole bunch of trial and error. I'm not sure what to do in there yet. I'll figure that one out in a little bit. Not quite where I wanted that. Okay. And we are going to need a shitload of these. Means we are going to need to make a bunch more of them. And then we just need to find an interesting way to cover these over. I kind of wish I'd had 3 blocks of space here rather than 2. Would have made things a little easier. But having that the lighter block behind there kind of helps to kind of accentuate these bits a little bit, which is quite nice. Right, okay, we need to make more of those. What was I missing for from those? Both stone and white dye. Right, well, in that case, let's make some recipes for things. Stone. If we just do... Oh, we should have our... We should have our coils as well, which I will sort out in a moment. Yes, there we go. 13 Canthol coils. All right, and then we just needed white dye. I would love to put these through an extractor to make them, to get a little more out of them, but the extractors are slow as hell and not really worth it, so... Let's put that in there, and before we actually start that crafting, let's go and switch this over. Okay, and if we just get 1024 of those, that should be pretty quick. I've also realized after setting up all the stuff with the molecular assemblers and what have you the other day, I have realized that we are pretty much in a position now to be able to make the assembler matrix. So we actually don't really need any of that. I might leave it a little bit before we do the assembler matrix, though. Right, now, the next thing is, how do we... So we do want to block this off a little bit. I also need to do something here, and I don't know what I want to do in this little bit. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Oh my god. Would you place things in the right place, Church? No. The right things in the right place, preferably. See, I don't like that. Actually, I don't hate that. I quite like the little X bit in there. That actually looks quite cool. Okay, so let's see. Frame blocks. Do we have any corner pillars? Oh, maybe just framed... Would framed posts work? Will these connect to blocks? Oh, they don't. I actually quite like that. Hold on. Well, something to kind of break this up a little bit. Although I feel like that's not quite breaking it up as much as I would have liked. Oh, do we have... I'd prefer that to have been a little thicker. But I think if we use walls, like framed walls, they're going to be they're going to connect. Which I would rather avoid. Right, so what else have we got? There's lattices, I think. There's framed pillars that seem a little chunkier. Oh, that's much better. They don't connect either. The other thing I wanted to look at, we are going to need a few more of those, was these, the framed lattice. Although I think that's, I don't really think that's going to fit the kind of the feel of the base. Oh, I've got to fill these in as well. It's not awful. It's not great, but it's not awful. I don't know how it's going to work on the diagonals, though. It's not really. I think regardless with the diagonals, we probably want to use the pillars. That's not a pillar. That is also the lattice. You done for the day, Em? I actually quite like the lattice, but at the same time, it doesn't really work. What are your plans for the rest of the day then, Em? I didn't make enough pillars. Right, let's see what this looks like at night. Yeah, I quite like that. I don't know about you guys. I quite like that, though. Hold shower and lie in front of the fan. That sounds like a good plan. Obviously, we've still got a ridiculous amount left to do here. But I quite like that. Imagine that kind of ring going all the way around the edge of here. I think that looks pretty good. It is starting to look a little bit more like an actual building now. Sort of. All the rest of the outside bits are all still just platforms, but... I've just realized I can make this come all the way down to the bottom. I just need to move all of this back a little bit so it matches up to there. Although that's not really going to work out. No, okay, that's not going to work. Never mind. Ignore that. I think it's a start. I don't hate it. me just get a couple more of those frame pillars, and then I think we call it a day. I too need to go and lie in front of a cold fan. It's ridiculously hot today. All right, let's see. Now, we can also switch out any of these white blocks for any of the other colored ones. So some of these will probably be switched out for green. I think what I might do, I might switch the ones that are in these pillars here out for green. The green ones. And then the ones around the kind of this central bit will stay as white. We're starting to get somewhere here, though, I think. And while this bit here is going to have to, like, that bit is going to have to move, we are going to be sticking with something similar to that. Which, the more I look at it, the more I think that works. Cool. All right, and on that note, I am going to call it a day. I wish I could have streamed for a little bit longer today, but my brain is just saying no at the minute. So we will be back tomorrow to continue more with this, because and hopefully I can come up with some more ideas overnight. And then we'll start working on building the tower itself up, and then we need to, this is probably going to take at least a week or two for us to get the buildings and everything else figured out. So we're going to be building for a while. V, thank you for the hydrates. I appreciate it. Now, thank you everyone for being here. I promise we will be getting back to like normal length streams soon, hopefully. Because I don't like doing these shorter streams, because I never feel as productive during them. I never get as much done. It'll be nice to get back to something where I do actually feel a little bit more productive. But anyway, in the meantime, thank you everybody for being here. I don't know if anyone's live or not. I will have a quick look. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow, hopefully around about 2 p.m. BST. And we can get a bunch more progress done. Let's go and say hello to Ren. Ren is currently playing a cuboid outpost. I think he's playing the 120 version. I'll go over there, say hello, and send him a little bit of love. All right, where are we? I've lost Ren.
Games running and I'm
Oh, there he is. I found him again. Oh, he's also apparently playing what was it, Revolution Idol? One of those ones. He's got a lot further in it than I ever did by the looks of things. Yeah, Revolution Idol. He's also playing that, it seems. All right, guys, I'm gonna skip this track because this track is incredibly loud for no reason whatsoever. I can find it. All right, guys. Let's go and see Ren. As far as the raid is concerned, all I need you guys to do is copy the raid message, the /me, #Chichava raid. Copy that message that the bot is posting now. Once we get over there, paste that into the chat along with any heart emotes you have available. They don't need to be mine. Any will do. It looks like it might have just switched over from playing Cuboid. But we'll see. Let's go say hello to him. All right, guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. I love all your faces, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care of yourselves.